In Japan, there's a whistle you never want to hear. Locals call it the zero chime, one shrill metallic note that echoes down an empty platform at 12:12 a.m. You can be standing under blazing fluorescent lights, surrounded by commuters, and still hear it cut through everything. The moment you turn to look, the crowd thins. Your phone glitches. Announcements freeze mid-syllable. And if you see the train that follows the chime, they say you're already missing. Tonight's story is about that train, Station Zero, the platform that doesn't appear on any rail map, the one that hunts people carrying guilt. Maybe it's a rumor. Maybe it's the rail company's best-kept secret. All I know is this. A university student named Kana walked onto the last train out of Shinkiba and never came home. Her brother Ren spent the next year digging into why. He tracked down janitors, late-shift drivers, even a retired Diet member who swore she rode a carriage with no doors. Ren thought he was uncovering a ghost story. What he found was a timetable for disappearances stretching back 60 years. You're watching the complete breakdown of Ren's investigation. I'm walking you through his recordings, the witness interviews, the audio logs he left behind. There are moments where you'll want to pause, to breathe, but don't. Station Zero feeds on hesitation. The only way out is through. Stay with me until the last minute, because the final 20 seconds of Ren's last tape are the reason I haven't slept in 4 nights. Ready? Let's board. Ren was never the kind of guy who believed in curses. He was an engineering major, calculations, measurements, everything by the book. When Kana vanished, police chalked it up to a runaway case. 2 suitcases missing, no signs of foul play. But Ren knew Kana. She'd just landed an internship. She'd texted him memes 3 hours before she went dark, and she hated rolling luggage. Something was off. He retraced her night. Cram school in Koto Ward, quick stop at a konbini, then the last train toward home. Station CCTV showed her stepping into car 3, phone in hand. The doors closed, the train pulled out, and the next camera, 4 stops later, never caught her stepping off. Kana vanished between cameras. Ren pulled the line's maintenance records. 2 notes jumped out. Signal disruption 0009, resolved in 42 seconds. And 4 minutes later, audio interference, unauthorized announcement heard. Staff wrote it off as a prank. Ren didn't. He downloaded the platform logs, boosted the audio, and found a voice that didn't belong to any living conductor. 3 words whispered under the regular departure call. Platform 0 ready. He shared the clip online. It went viral overnight. Comments flooded in. People saying they'd heard the same whisper in different stations. One message stood out. It came from a cleaning supervisor named Hirose who claimed she'd scrubbed blood off a locked door behind Track 3 in 1998 after a passenger disassembly incident. She invited Ren to her office if he really wanted to see what was hidden. He showed up before dawn, pressed record, and promised me, us, that he'd share everything. Hirose's office was buried inside the depot. She slid a folder across the table. Photocopies of nightly shift logs scribbled by hand. Every page had a column labeled 0, and every blank day had none. But some nights were filled in. 0, 2 on board. 0, 1 return. 0, passenger refusing entry. Resolved. She told Ren about the old days. Back before digital signage, station masters used a brass bell to signal last calls. When Station 0 approached, the air pressure changed. Tickets fluttered off countertops. Lights dimmed or overexposed like someone cranked the ISO on reality. And always the same conductor's voice, even decades after he died in a tunnel collapse. Hirose remembered him because his missing poster hung in the depot for years. His name was Sakurai Takahiro, and his photo aged along with everyone else who walked past it. Ren asked why nobody told the public. Hirose shrugged. People still need to commute. The company can't admit part of the network hunts them, so the deal became simple. If Station 0 arrives, staff look away, cameras loop. Records get stamped, misfiled. We're paid to forget. She slid one more item across the table. a thin metal token engraved with Y0. This is the only ticket that works there. Burn it after you go. Ren tucked the token into his recorder case. He asked Hiroshi what Station 0 wanted. She answered without blinking. Confessions. People who lie to themselves. People who hurt someone and walked away. The train tests them. If they pass, they get off a stop later, shaken but alive. If they fail, well, that's why we bleach the rails. Before Ren left, Hiroshi grabbed his sleeve. Don't chase Kana. If she boarded, she's already been weighed. The more you look, the more it notices you. He promised he'd be careful, thanked her, and the moment he stepped outside the depot, his phone buzzed. Unknown number, one audio file. He pressed play and heard the 0 chime for the first time. Someone, or something, had forwarded him the train's timetable. Ren's next move? Find survivors. He posted anonymously on forums where night shift workers swap horror stories. Within days, he had 3 replies. One from a taxi driver who claimed to pick up a barefoot teen at 01:03 a.m. with frost on her hair. One from a nurse who watched a patient vanish between elevator floors when the hospital's basement connected to the underground line. And one from a history teacher named Emmy who agreed to meet Ren in a family restaurant, under the condition he sat facing the wall so she could watch the door. Emmy's voice shook as she spoke. 20 years earlier, she'd been a new hire at a cram school. She assigned weekend homework, then forgot to grade it. Students bombed a major exam. Parents demanded resignations. Emmy lied, said the printer jammed. Her boss took the blame and lost his job. A week later, after closing the classroom, she rode the last train home and heard the 0 chime. Every passenger around her froze mid-breath. The lights washed to yellow. On the opposite platform, a new set of doors slid open, revealing a stairwell she'd never seen. She was pulled, not by hands, but by the weight of her guilt, onto that platform. An attendant in an outdated uniform punched a hole through a ticket that materialized in her palm. Emmy remembered begging, promising to confess. The attendant shook his head. Confessions are accepted only on board. She found herself on a carriage lined with mirror panels. Each mirror replayed the night she lied but stretched, showing ripples of consequence. One panel showed her former boss fumbling through job interviews. Another showed his daughter crying as they sold their television. Another showed Emmy decades later, still pretending it wasn't her fault. Station 0, she said, lets you choose when to speak. You can stay silent and the mirrors multiply, showing every person you hurt, or you can talk. But the more you hold back, the more the train decides for you. Emmy tried to confess, but every time she avoided a detail, the carriage shuddered. By the time she admitted everything, she was sobbing on the carriage floor. When she looked up, the mirrors showed nothing, just empty frames. The doors opened to the regular platform. Only 19 seconds had passed. The next day, she found her old boss, apologized, and offered savings to help. He forgave her. Emmy's hair turned white that night, and it stayed white ever since. Ren asked how she escaped without scars. Emmy slid her sleeve back, revealing a thin, silver line on her wrist shaped like the number 0. Maybe I didn't escape, she whispered. Maybe it stamped me as a warning. That mark burned when Kana vanished. That's why I'm talking to you. Station 0's timetable is accelerating. Ren pieced together Kana's last months. She'd been part of a campus society investigating abandoned subway lines. They recorded urban legends, posted them as short documentaries. One clip, published 3 weeks before she disappeared, showed Kana sneaking into an out-of-service platform, holding up her phone as lights flickered overhead. She joked about conduits and vent shafts, right until the end of the video, where a blurred figure appeared behind her. The clip cut after exactly 12 minutes and 12 seconds. The comments were full of viewers begging for part 2. It never dropped. Ren scrubbed the final frame. The blur wasn't just a person. It was a reflection of Kana herself, but older, with tired eyes and a cut on her cheek. Written across the wall behind the reflection were scratched numbers. Jabro 44, Wan. Ren interpreted it as a timestamp. The clip was posted at 10:28 p.m. That meant Kana expected something at 44 minutes past midnight. He called her friends. Most didn't pick up. One, a camera operator named Jun, answered on the third ring, whispering from a karaoke booth. Jun admitted the society staged half their hauntings. They looped audio of old announcements, used fog machines in service tunnels. But the night of Kana's disappearance, the effects glitched. Branded projectors refused to stay on. Their battery packs drained. They heard a train approaching on a track that had been sealed for decades. Jun ran. Kana stayed, saying, "We wanted the truth. Maybe this is it." Jun met Ren in a park at noon, under open sky. He handed over Kana's field recorder. The last file lasted 12 minutes, crackling footsteps, quick breaths, and at 11:58 p.m., Kana whispering, "If we don't upload this, it'll never stop. If you find this, don't let the chime catch you." The file ended with a metallic shriek and an older version of Kana screaming, "Don't board twice." Then static. Ren realized he wasn't chasing a disappearance, he was chasing a loop. Ren went underground, literally. He mapped maintenance corridors connecting multiple lines. He learned that Station Zero wasn't attached to one rail. It threaded through all of them, appearing where guilt pooled the heaviest. That's why different witnesses saw it at different stations. He marked midnight on his calendar, and every night he waited near a different platform recording background noises. Patterns emerged. The chime always preceded a temperature drop. Ticket machines printed blank receipts. Security shutters rattled even when locked, and somewhere in the distance a station announcement tried, and failed, to override the regular schedule, like an old tape spliced into digital PA systems. Teaming up with a ham radio club, Ren captured the frequencies. Hidden between channel static was a voice repeating coordinates. Not latitude or longitude, rail markers. KM 12 plus 120, delay, KM 27 by 400, collect. He fed the data into a map and found his city laced with a figure 8. Station Zero ran a route shaped like an infinity symbol, intersecting normal lines at points where tragedies once happened. A derailment in 74, a fatal platform shove in 88, a maintenance accident in 2005. The next logical step? Ride along. But Ren knew he couldn't go alone. He recruited 2 allies, Aya, a sound engineer obsessed with EVP recordings, and Daichi, a history grad who'd traced Meiji-era myths about trains for the dead. They prepared like they were heading into a storm. Spare batteries sealed in foil, analog cameras, notebooks in case digital logs corrupted, and small offerings. Letters of apology addressed to people they'd wronged. Night 1 of their stakeout, they picked Shinkiba, the last place Kana was seen. They blended with late commuters until 11:59 p.m., then slipped behind a service gate Hirose had left unlocked. Aya set up directional mics. Daichi read a Buddhist sutra under his breath. Ren watched the analog clock hand twitch toward midnight, then tremble at 12:12. The zero chime rang. It sounded mechanical and human at once, like a flute rusting in someone's throat. Lights flickered. A train that wasn't on the schedule slid into the station without breaking noise. Its cars were painted deep navy, windows tinted so dark they absorbed reflections. Instead of a digital route display, a brass plaque read simply 0. Doors opened with a hiss of cold air. The platform around Ren blurred, the regular commuters frozen mid-step. Only Aya, Daichi, and Ren could move. Behind them, the service gate sealed shut. A conductor stepped out, a man in a uniform from the 1960s, hat tilted, eyes dull. Ren recognized him immediately from Hirose's photo. Sakurai Takahiro. Sakurai tipped his hat, voice calm. "Tickets, please." Ren felt the metal token heat up in his pocket. When he pulled it out, it had already been punched. Aya and Daichi's offerings turned into tickets too, stamped with symbols he couldn't read. "Destination?" Ren asked. Sakurai answered, "Wherever your weightless truth lies." Aya hesitated. Daichi whispered, "Kana." The conductor nodded almost imperceptibly, stepped aside, and the trio boarded. Doors closed. There was no starting jolt, no acceleration. One moment they were in Shinkiba. The next, the windows showed an endless, dim tunnel, lined with flickering ads featuring people Ren recognized. Classmates, online commenters, anyone who'd engaged with his posts about Kana. All of them staring blankly, mouths moving without sound. The train was already in Station Zero's realm. Inside, the carriage was quiet. Too quiet. No engine hum, no overhead announcements. Just the whisper of air vents and the faint echo of the chime looping at low volume. The seating was old-fashioned, wooden benches polished by decades of riders. Ren sat, recorder in his lap. Aya began tuning into the background, eyes closed. Daichi unfolded a map that redrew itself, tracks moving like veins. At exactly 01:08, the first test arrived. The carriage lights dimmed, and a spotlight illuminated a figure at the far end. A girl in a school uniform, hair damp, eyes rimmed in black. It was Kana, or an echo of her. "You promised you'd stop digging," she said in a voice that layered multiple ages at once. Behind her, a door labeled 1 slid open. Ren approached cautiously. "Kana, is that really you?" She shook her head. "I'm every version of me that didn't listen. You're late. The longer you wait, the more faces we lose." Ren apologized out loud for not being there that night, for doubting her, for turning her disappearance into content. The echo watched, unsmiling. "Words are light, we weigh actions." She gestured to the door. "Prove you're not just chasing headlines." Ren stepped through and found himself in a carriage that replayed his entire year of obsession. Every monitor showed him editing videos, refreshing comment sections, ignoring his own health. A digital counter in the center tallied views. Another tallied unanswered messages from friends and family asking him to move on. The walls pulsed with Station Zero's heartbeat. A voice over the intercom asked, "Who are you doing this for?" Ren ripped the counter cables out, shouted, "For Kana, not for clicks!" The train shook. The counter reset, this time counting minutes you could still save her memory. The echo's voice returned. "Then stop treating me like a case. Remember me like a sister." The carriage door reopened, leading back to Aya and Daichi. Sakurai stood at the end of the car, expression unreadable. "Stop 1. Passed," he murmured. "Next stop arrives in 6 apologies." Aya's test triggered next. Speakers crackled, replaying the last argument she'd had with her mother, the day she moved out without saying goodbye. Lights strobed. The train split into 2 overlapping images, present carriage and Aya's childhood bedroom. The chime rang faster, matching her heartbeat. She covered her ears, but the train sucked her into the memory. Ren and Daichi watched her past self slam the door, ignoring her mom's tears. Aya screamed, swearing she regretted it, but Station Zero demanded proof beyond words. Her recorder glowed, offering a way out. Instead of grabbing it, Aya grabbed a pen, wrote a message on her arm. "Call Mom now." The train acknowledged the commitment, an action she could fulfill later, and the scene dissolved. Aya collapsed onto the bench, shaking. "It's not just showing us guilt," she gasped. "It's binding us to fix it." Daichi's turn was more brutal. The train morphed into a lecture hall where he'd plagiarized a thesis years ago. He'd convinced himself it was harmless, just borrowing ideas. But Station Zero replayed the original author's face when they discovered the truth. Daichi confessed, knees buckling. He promised to publish a correction, to cite properly, to mentor students about integrity. The train made him write a full apology letter on the spot. Only once he finished did the walls return to metal. 3 tests passed. Sakurai announced, "Halfway there." Ren asked what happened if they failed. The conductor's gaze flickered. "Then you ride until dawn, and dawn doesn't come down here." The air grew colder. Windows now showed glimpses of parallel platforms, each filled with passengers staring blankly ahead. People who hadn't confessed. Some were transparent, mid-fade, Others were skeletal silhouettes. The train slowed. Doors opened to a station that looked like a ruin. A platform overgrown with moss, old posters peeling, a single lantern swinging without wind. A sign read, "Transfer Regret Line." Kanna's echo waited there, older now, eyes hollow. She beckoned Ren. "Follow me if you still believe I'm alive." Ren's heart pounded. He knew he couldn't trust every apparition, but he also knew he'd regret not following. They disembarked carefully, timing their steps with the rhythm of the chime echoing down the tunnel. Aya trailed a microphone capturing faint whispers. Taichi marked symbols on the map. As they walked, the lantern light revealed names carved into the walls. Names of missing people matched with dates. Kanna's was there, etched with 2 dates. The night she vanished, and a second date set in the future. Tonight's date. The platform connected to a narrow corridor lined with doors, each labeled with a different sin. Silence. Neglect. Betrayal. The door ahead glowed hubris. Kanna's echo pointed through it. Inside, Ren faced a projection of himself, grinning in front of a whiteboard, explaining Station Zero to a live audience. The crowd cheered. Hashtags flashed. Ren felt his stomach drop. The train wasn't just warning him about losing Kanna, it was warning him about becoming a celebrity on someone else's tragedy. He recorded a message on the spot addressed to his followers. If you're watching this, don't sensationalize these stories. Help people. Report missing persons. Don't chase ghosts for views. The projection flickered, the crowd dissolved into smoke, and Kanna's echo nodded. Better, but you're still carrying one more secret. Ren knew what she meant. He'd hidden something even from himself. The fight he'd had with Kanna 2 days before she disappeared. He'd accused her of exploiting urban legends, of exploiting fear. She'd clapped back, saying he hid behind books and formulas to avoid facing real pain. They both left angry. He never apologized. Now Station Zero replayed that fight, amplified. Every insult echoed. The walls of the corridor pulsed with their words. This time, Station Zero didn't give him a scripted confession. It handed him Kanna's last unsent message, holographed in midair. "Come with me tonight," it read. "If it's fake, we'll laugh. If it's real, we'll know together." Ren had ignored the notification, telling himself he didn't see it. Station Zero showed the timestamp. Delivered, read, dismissed. He crumpled, sobbing. "I saw it. I could have been there." The corridor tightened, squeezing him. Aya and Daichi shouted, trying to pull him free. Kanna's echo leaned close, whispering, "The train doesn't want martyrs. It wants truth. Admit it." Ren screamed, "I chose not to go because I was angry. I let you go alone." The squeezing stopped. The corridor released them. Kanna's echo smiled, sad but proud. "Now we can talk." They followed her deeper. The air grew humid, filled with the scent of ozone and old engine oil. The chime merged with a heartbeat. They emerged into a cavernous terminal, Station Zero's hub. It was vast, with tracks branching into darkness, clocks all frozen at 12:12, and hundreds of spectral passengers waiting. Some noticed Ren and the others. Some reached out, hands trembling, mouthing words like "tell" and "apologize." Sakurai reappeared, tipping his hat. "You've reached the junction. Here, decisions become destinations." He guided them to a central pillar where a brass plaque listed 2 routes: release and repeat. Kanna's echo stood by the repeat track. "If you want to pull me back," she said, "you have to take my seat." Station Zero trades guilt for guilt. Are you ready to stay? Ren froze. He'd come to rescue Kanna, but Station Zero demanded a price. Aya and Daichi argued. Aya insisted they could find another way. Daichi noted that legends always required substitutions. Ren looked at Kanna's echo. Is there truly no way to walk out together? Kanna's echo's eyes shimmered. Maybe. If you do what I couldn't. Forgive yourself and the people who hurt us. She gestured to the release track. If you accept I'm gone but keep my story alive responsibly, I can move on. If you cling, we both ride forever. Ren's decision had to come from the heart, not ego. He thought about the people who'd reached out, the survivors like Emmy, the janitor Hiros, the commenters who shared their own guilt. He realized Station Zero wasn't just punishing, it was offering a path to heal, if he respected it. He turned to Kane as Echo. I'll carry you forward, not drag you back. He placed the metal token on the release track. It melted into light. The spectral passengers sighed, some fading, some smiling. Kana's Echo stepped closer, placed a hand on his chest. Tell them the truth, not just the scary parts. Tell them the choices. She pressed her forehead to his. I'm proud of you, even if we fought. Then she stepped onto the release platform and dissolved into embers that drifted upward like lanterns. Station Zero's chime softened. Sakurai gestured them toward a returning carriage. Final stop. Surface level. Aya clutched Ren's arm. Daiichi whispered a prayer. They boarded. As the train moved, the windows showed glimpses of the lives they'd touched. Emmy reconciling with her former boss, Aya calling her mom, Daiichi emailing the professor he'd wronged. Ren glimpsed himself editing a video, but this time, the title read, Station Zero, How We Heal by Facing What We Hide. No jump scares, no clickbait. The carriage slid back into Shinkiba. Time on the platform clock? 12:32 a.m. Only 20 minutes had passed. Commuters resumed movement. No one noticed the trio step off, pale and shaking. The metal token was gone. In its place, Ren found a folded paper in his pocket. Kana's handwriting, one last time. Live enough for both of us, but don't forget to rest. Over the following weeks, Ren followed through. He released his documentary, not as a horror spectacle, but as a guide for anyone haunted by unfinished apologies. He included Hiros's testimony, Emi's warning, Aya's call to reconcile, Daiichi's mea culpa. He added resources for mental health, links to volunteer with missing person networks. The video still went viral, but for compassion, not fear. And Station Zero? It hasn't disappeared. People still hear the chime at 12:12, but now, when that sound slips into the night, there's another layer. You can hear whispers of those who boarded and faced themselves. They remind passengers to look inward before the doors close. The train still tests, it still punishes. Yet it also offers a ticket out. Do the hard thing before the whistle blows. If you ever find yourself alone on a platform late at night and the air pressure changes, remember Ren's journey. Listen for the sins you haven't acknowledged. Speak the apology you've been hoarding. Message the person you hurt. Because Station Zero doesn't care if you're brave or perfect. It cares if you're honest. The chime is not a death sentence, it's a deadline. So tonight, after this video ends, do one thing to lighten your own carriage. Call someone. Write that email. Forgive the version of you that ran and take a step toward the version that stays. Because the only way to beat a ghost train built on regret is to travel lighter than it expects. I'll leave you with the sound Ren heard once, right before the chime faded for good. Kana's laughter echoing down the tunnel, followed by a whisper. Thanks for walking me home.